Always has to be a shot at somebody.
I know.
They're never clean.
They have to run. That's the only shot they have.
They do it for 82 games. We're about to find out.
He already has shown what he's capable of.
Did surprise me. I thought we were going to hang in there.
This makes me think that we do need to be humble.
I actually think you're the only one who deserved that beating.
What's up, everyone? This is Noah Dalzell. I'm here with Bobby Manning at TD Garden after the Celtics, what I would say best win of the season, 117-114 win over the Detroit Pistons, who had won 13 straight entering tonight. We're on the verge of setting a franchise record. And the Boston Celtics, without Jason Tatum, obviously, but also Neemias Queta, who was in street clothes, somehow come away with this win, and it was a super impressive one. And there's a whole lot that I think you can take away from and not overreact, but still, I think there were some really interesting signs from this game.
Yeah, and as we get deeper into the season now, see them against greater competition, this was their biggest test yet. Maybe that Knicks game early in the year compares, but given the circumstances with Queta and where Detroit was coming into this one, they had a decent rest. Celtics had 2 days off. It's a pretty even strength coming in. I feel like this showed that they can compete in the East. And we had a sense that they could at the middle tier coming into the year, like the Milwaukees and whoever else is just going to be in that middle chunk of the conference. Didn't seem like there'd be a lot of separation between them and Atlanta or whoever you want to name there. But could they beat the New Yorks of the world, the Detroits of the world in a series? We've seen them against Orlando 3 times, who I think are in that conversation. And they've been super competitive, save for New York, in those environments. So they're going to be bad matchups. This looked like a bad matchup coming in particular with the Queta situation here. And this performance makes me think they could hang in a series against those kind of teams. I don't think, from what we've seen against the opponents they've played so far, there's a single matchup in the East that you would go into come playoff time if they're decently healthy, the Celtics, and say, wow, they have no chance. This is going to be a 4 or 5 game series. They're going to compete, and that's been the story of their season.
Yeah, and the reality is that it's still really early. There's a lot of basketball left to be played, both in Boston, but also for every other team that's going to figure things out. But my biggest takeaway so far from this game, but also from the first 18 games of the season, is that this team has a winning culture around it still. And we talked a lot about how obviously they're a year removed from a title. Joe Mazzulla is a championship coach, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. Like, there is still that carryover from that championship DNA. But then you look at it and you're like, okay, does that really matter when you have Luka Garza and Jordan Walsh and Josh Minott and all these other guys playing substantial minutes who have nothing to do with that title? I mean, no offense to Jordan, who was on that team, obviously, but a lot of new faces, a lot of young guys that have not been on the floor. And my observation from the first couple weeks here, and in particular from tonight, is that winning culture is still here, you know, and you mentioned it, but they've been in every game minus the Houston Rockets game, which was on the second night of a back-to-back. Every other game, they've been right in it. Even when they've gone down big, they've clawed their way back in. Against the best teams in the league, they've stayed in it, right? And there's a lot of teams they haven't played yet. We'll see how they fare against the Oklahoma City Thunder and teams of that caliber. Obviously, they're on a different playing field right now, but what we've gathered so far is that there is, like you said, there is no matchup that is like, okay, they can't hang. You know, they just don't have it against this group.
Yeah, JB Bickerstaff said it before the game. There's still a lot of guys left from the championship here, and I think we overlook that sometimes because of how many are gone. Obviously, you know, Jalen's obvious, Derek, Pritchard. Jordan was here for that year. He wasn't playing, but yeah, I saw the picture of him in the locker room with the ring, and he took that year in. He developed through that season. He saw it. That helps. So there's still enough here between the coaching staff and the locker room / players to carry that forward, and that does have to scare opponents. Remember my dream coming into the year? Tatum's back. It's that whole cast that's been in the playoffs a million times together in April. If you're going up against an Orlando or a Cleveland who's had disappointing playoff finishes, or just these teams who are trying to break through, those are the teams with pressure. Tatum coming back, if that's where it's going to be later in the year, or this cast of unsung talent that is trying to fight for their spots in the league and scrap together a good season here, there's no pressure on the Celtics team to win a championship. So they're going to go into a first-round series if that's where they end up this year with no pressure whatsoever, and probably a matchup where they're not all that big underdogs. And I could see, let's say it's Boston-Cleveland going into a first-round series, or Boston-Orlando, I think maybe is a better example given that they played each other last year. There are going to be a lot of people who look at that series, if the Celtics are healthy, and say, especially if Tatum's there, I'm going with the group that's won a championship and has done this a million times, not the team that lost in the first round.
That's a big
year,
especially.
Cleveland in the second round. Yeah, I mean, we're fast forwarding a little bit, but tonight made me think of that.
Yeah, and again, it's so easy to be prisoners of the moment, both good and bad. I mean, literally 5 days ago, we were sitting here after the Nets loss, which was like an abysmal, Jalen's calling out the effort, everything's terrible, this is the worst team in the league. So the
Look at me getting ahead of myself this
An 82-game
time.
season, there are going to be highs and lows, but I'm not talking about just tonight when I say that we have seen that winning feeling. We have, it's like they had a great game against Orlando a couple nights ago. And again, even the games that they've lost, like they're 10-5 in their last 15 after starting the season 0-3. And to have Amari Williams, who has been in Maine this entire year, a guy that was drafted late in the second round, has not really been with the team.
We weren't going to get through the stand-up without Amari
I'm just
Williams.
saying, this is not about Amari. This is not about Amari Williams. So I have no agenda with. I'm not super familiar with his game. I'm still kind of getting to know his strengths and weaknesses. It's about the fact that they trusted him to play 15 minutes tonight. Everybody's praising his effort and like how big time it was. And it's just like it's a perfect encapsulation of like what this season has been about. Like he represents to me like this very stay ready. We don't know who it's going to be. Tonight it was Baylor Shireman, who was awesome, played 30 minutes, guarding Cade Cunningham in the clutch, dropping buckets in the first half. Like it's been a different guy every night. And so while we have been spending time focusing on Josh one night and Ugo one night and Jordan the other, like right now I kind of feel like it's a good time to be like, okay, hold on, big picture. It's the fact that it is a different guy every night, the fact that there is that buy-in, that Joe's somehow getting the best out of these guys, regardless of whether we thought they were going to be good or not entering the year. Like that's been the theme of the season, and I feel like tonight perfectly encapsulated that.
Yeah, an honorable mention I think among all of this is we felt like coming into this year, if they lost a starting caliber player, if they were down bodies, they'd have no chance, especially against an opponent like this. To do it without Queta, I mean, massive, especially given some of the guys they relied on. They were playing Walsh, Shireman, Hauser in crunch time against Duren. Amari Williams has that matchup for a lot of the night, as you mentioned. Impressive stuff. It's one game. They're still floating around 500. They still have to get through a full season here, fully healthy. So they're starting to hit these challenges pretty early. But 20 games in or so, we have a good sense of who this team is, and it's a super competitive group, and that's my takeaway from tonight and the full season so far.
And I think that was the vision that we were sold in preseason at training camp of like, we're playing so hard, it's been a grind, it's been war, and we have all these young guys that want to come out and compete, but at that point it's like, okay, but everybody's saying that, right? Literally every single training camp had the same quotes coming out of it. And now here we are, and I actually think this one was legit. Like when I see that lineup of like Ugo and Jordan and Josh, like they might have some limitations, but like it's an awesome watch. It's just like such a fun, energetic group to watch. And so they've been kind of the story of the season. Obviously big under note, we have to mention Derek White, who had his best game of the year, I would say. 3 for 3 in the fourth quarter from 3, which was just where they needed every one of those. Just played with a bounce, 27 points. So you got to give Derek White his due as well. But big picture, I think, it just remains that like the fabric and the culture of this team remains despite all the turnover.
Yep, and crunch time, still a work in progress, but it is a crunch time win despite the foul on the last play. They get the free throw miss from Cade there, so they escape a near crunch time
The basketball gods
disaster.
knew the Celtics earned this win. They had to give them the win. Cade missed that free throw because they earned this win. That's how I felt about it.
No comment.
No comment. Comment.
I
You don't think they earned it?
No, they earned it, but
Yeah,
I didn't love the foul in that spot.
I'm not defending the foul. I'm just saying like I feel like in that moment, like sometimes you just didn't deserve to win, and so the free throws go in. I feel like they deserve this one.
I do feel bad for Cade. What a great game he had.
He's incredible. That was like another stream
Top
of
5 player to
consciousness.
watch for me.
I think so too.
Oh, one more thing before we wrap. That was the best team we've seen this year on the other side, by far.
Yeah.
They were impressive.
The
Cade
Rockets looked
scored
pretty good
40.
when they were here.
That's
They looked
fair.
like giants.
That was a unique circumstance. I think Detroit was a little better, just from what I saw. I was impressed by the effort they made on the other side, so that makes the Celtics win all the more impressive to me.
For sure. And Celtics hit the road. They have Cleveland and Minnesota coming up this weekend. So they survived one game without Queta. We don't know yet if Queta is going to be available for either of those games. And then they're back next week, I think against the Lakers is their next home game. Knicks. Okay,
Tuesday,
Knicks.
yep.
The show, as always, is brought to you by our pals over at Prize Picks. You got to love yourself some Prize Picks here. And again, doesn't matter what season you're in, basketball, football, hockey, it's all good. Just play Prize Picks right now. #1 daily fantasy sports app in all of North America. Pick more, pick less. That easy. Download the app, code CLNS. Get 50 in your lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, download that Prize Picks app, code CLNS, to get 50 in your lineups after you play your first $5 lineups.